So in order to have an effective strength training program for any young athlete, we have to have some kind of tempo training involved. And quite simply, what tempo is that it's the speed of the exercise or the pace or the rate of the movement.
Now, if we look at these two exercises, if we look at the squat and we look at the chin up, I want you to think about the movements that we talked about that are involved the first phase. Let's look at the squat. Now, if you remember, we talked about the squat, the first phase is a lowering phase. Now, for each one of these phases, the time is in seconds that we want to control each phase of the movement. So for a young athlete, let's say I started a squat would be 3 seconds of the lowering phase. So Coach Edwards, what is that? What it is that as they're lowering down, they're going to count for 3 seconds, or the coach will as well. So as they're lowering, we're counting, and I like to use 1,000 counts, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. Now the second phase would be the pause phase. We can control this stimulus as well. Let's say we have them at 1 second. At the bottom of the squat, they're going to pause and hold that position for 1 second. Now on the upward or drive phase, remember this is that concentric action when the muscles are they're shortening. Now I call it the drive phase, the up phase. We might have 1 second that they're going to drive back to that starting position that we can have here also and control that of 1 second. Now before I show you some variations, this is why slow tempo is important. For young athletes, we want them to do a number of different things. The benefit is that they can feel the position going through these ranges of motion through these phases. But also as a coach or as a parent, I can find out where are they weak at. Usually these 3 phases, not necessarily at the top, because where are young athletes usually hurting or they're weak at that we can improve is the lowering phase, especially with a squat. Let's think about it. If I have an athlete lowering into a squat, what do they usually do? They go very quickly, or you hear sometimes plop down like plopping on a couch. There's no control, right? Let's say this here now is a 2, right? So now it's 2 seconds lower. I'm gonna pause them at 3 seconds at the bottom. I will keep this number the same. They're gonna drive up 1 second and they're gonna pause at the top, and then we'll repeat the cycle again. This helps me. The benefit of this with young athletes is, like I said, deficiency, weakness, but it's teaching them to control the movement. They can feel the range, because if you're dealing with any young beginner, they don't know. Right? You see kids, they'll rush through a process and you see technique breakdown. You see the posture, they can't hold that position. Now these are the reason I want to go slow with this is now think about now if I took that squat, now I get them under load, under a bar. And I know that these areas, or 1 or 2 or 3 of these areas are deficient. See, these are when injuries occur. So now I have a prevention component that I can control well. So that is the benefit of this here.